Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Fast Food Horror. In this episode, we take a peek into the offices of the Angel of Death. In this tale entitled A.O.D. Inc. by E.J. Miller.
Persephone, please hold my calls for the next hour. I have to review these cases from the new hires. Thank you. And Persephone, call Sharon over at Styx and cancel our lunch meeting. Just reschedule. Tell him it'll be my treat at that old Greek restaurant, Olympus. Thank you. Honestly, that man is obsessed with boats. How he can even stomach to eat a meal on one is ridiculous. The waves, the constant up and down, the pitching, the rocking. I'm getting nauseous just thinking about it. Speaking of which. Persephone? Yes. Please take the rest of the day off. Yes. With pay. You're welcome. Enjoy your day. Bye. The only thing worse than eating a meal on a boat is your attitude. It is such a downer, so depressing. Blah, blah. My husband is the devil. Blah, blah. All right, let's review these case files. Persephone, when she could muster up the ambition, separated these three new hires from the rest to have, in her opinion, impressive task completions. Let's see if they've figured out how to effectively and efficiently execute their job, and let's see who is Angel of Death of the Month amongst the new hires. Case 11-2466. Claim: Luke Stevens. A.O.D. agent. Intern Miko. Ah! Bob from Accounting's Kid. Let's see how this claim played out. The claim: Luke Stevens had gone out to a local establishment and met with friends for a few beverages on Friday evening. After a few games of pool and many failed attempts to convince a mate to accompany him home to his trailer, he called it a night and began the drive home through the Louisiana Bayou. It was during this drive I found my opportunity to initiate the claim. I conjured a tornado to run through his trailer park and strike his dwelling exactly upon his arrival. Unfortunately, the claim decided at that moment to pull over, exit his vehicle, and relieve himself along the roadside. Then, inexplicably, stare into space, delaying his arrival. So, I diverted the twister to hit his neighbor's front yard, Ms. Dorothea Dix, who is an avid collector of yard gnomes and flamingos. I had the twister hurl the flamingos in the claim's direction. One flamingo with its steel stake struck the claim through his abdomen. I felt satisfied that this would be a fatal blow, and yet it was not, as the claim began to remove the stake from his body. Upon extricating the flamingo, he held it aloft like a victorious knight would after unsheathing a sword, which is when he was struck by lightning by the storm I had created to bring about the twister. I watched him stagger, then fall into the water of the bayou. I figured the lightning had done the job, or he would at least drown. However, the cold water must have shocked his nervous system, as the claim began to splash about and began to wade out of the water, making a terrible noise, which is what attracted the gator that swam up behind him and ate the claim. Claim executed at 2:32 a.m. Saturday. Well, that was remarkable, wasn't it? Good effort. That gator saved you, though. Let's see what our next intern did. Case 19-2261. Claim: Buster Fireball McCoy. A.O.D. agent. Intern Hermes. The claim: Stuntman Buster Fireball McCoy was readying his custom-built performance motorcycle with a booster rocket attached outside the Palace Casino for his latest show. On this date, he was scheduled to perform a death-defying stunt where he would race down the main street in front of the casino at more than 90 miles an hour, take his bike through a 4-story loop-de-loop, then take flight as he exited the bottom of the loop, igniting a rocket and driving his bike off the ramp and over a large reflecting pool, landing safely on the other side. I saw my opportunity and put my plans into play. Through the power of suggestion, I placed the thought in the casino owner's head how much more picturesque it would look for the thousands in attendance and those watching at home, not to mention for the publicity photos that they could use on social media and advertisements if the fountains in the reflecting pool were on. I reinforced this by nudging his pride that since he was paying the tab, it was the least Buster could do. After Buster acquiesced to this small request and not seeing the danger the 14-foot plumes of water could present, I then conjured up a slight breeze blowing from east to west. This made sure that any and all mist made from the fountains would be blowing directly at Buster, and specifically his rocket-propelled motorcycle. At exactly 9:14 p.m. Central Standard Time, Buster came hurtling down Main Street, building up to 90 miles an hour, with a light mist dampening him as he entered the loop. I watched with the rest of the audience in awe as he climbed the 4-story loop to its summit, then rocketed down the other side, completing the 360 to the crowd's delight, and coming up on the exit of the loop and the ramp. I watched as Buster tensed and waited for his moment to ignite the booster rocket at the base of the ramp at more than 90 miles an hour to propel him successfully over the reflecting pond and now the unplanned fountains. At the exact moment, Buster hit the button on the throttle to ignite the rocket just feet from the end of the ramp. But because it was damp, it did not ignite. A panicked Buster hit the button again and again and was launched into the air at less than the speed he anticipated or needed to clear the reflecting pool. At the moment he hit the apex of his height from the ramp, in midair, some 40 feet up, Buster went to pull the ripcord on his emergency parachute. The parachute deployed, but was wet due to the mist and served little purpose as he began to drop to the earth. However, it was at that moment the rocket ignited and sent a surprised and damp Buster up, and into an electronic billboard advertising accident attorneys Eisenberg, Katzenberg, Heisenberg, and Wiener. I am still awaiting for the final report, but it appears Buster was electrocuted upon high impact with the electronic sign. The claim was fully executed at 9:18 p.m. Central Standard Time. Whoa! I did not see that coming, and probably neither did Buster. I'll have to set a reminder for myself to find that video on YouTube. And our final intern, Bo. Let's see what he has done. Case 21-3431. Claim Travis Scott. A.O.D. agent, intern Bo. The claim, Travis Scott, was taking a joyride with 3 other highly inebriated friends in a small, cramped, compact vehicle they had borrowed from the owner without his permission down a twisting mountain road late one evening. It was during his descent that Travis, the driver, noticed the brakes no longer worked. Perhaps this is why the owner had the vehicle parked in the driveway and not in the garage. Perhaps this was the reason there were tools scattered around the vehicle when they found it. Perhaps this was the reason why it was so easy to steal, as the door was unlocked and the key still in the ignition. All of which I made sure they did not take into consideration as I consistently suggested and amplified to all what a great adventure this would be, and they would look back at it and laugh when they were older and sober. Travis, in a moment of self-preservation, realized that at his speed and the continued downward descent of the road, they would surely crash horribly, and Travis, without saying a word to his friends, jumped from the vehicle. Travis tumbled and rolled across the road and then down the side of the mountain, breaking an arm and suffering many cuts and abrasions, before coming to rest in the middle of the road. You see, the mountain road was a switchback, a zigzagging path down the steep mountain. Travis staggered to his feet and got his wits about him just before a car, the car he had abandoned with his friends still in it, the car his friends saw he had jumped from and quickly gained some control of, came barreling down the mountainside and struck him, sending him again tumbling down the side of the mountain. Again he rolled and tumbled down the steep mountainside, breaking ribs, before he again found himself in the middle of the road. Travis staggered to his feet, just in time to get struck by a vehicle. The same vehicle he had abandoned. The same vehicle that had struck him the first time. The same vehicle being operated by his highly intoxicated friends who could only manage to steer and get one leg into the driver's side, where the brakes didn't work. I report that the claim was struck 4 more times by the same vehicle, 6 times in total, suffering multiple injuries, none dealing the fatal blow, however. The claim, after rolling and tumbling down the final embankment, came to rest at the bottom of the switchback road, at the feet of a Sasquatch, who carried him off to her den as it was unfortunately mating season. The claim was finally then executed hours later at approximately 7:37 a.m. Pacific time.
I can't. Oh my, I just can't. Who brought this guy into the company? Sasquatch? Death by Sasquatch. How? How? Just give it to Hermes. And I'll have to send an email to HR for intern Bo to have additional training. Oh my gosh. Death by Sasquatch.